Hi guys, welcome to Olive's Tree. I've got a number 12 boiling chicken in this pan. I'm about to make some really delicious and nutritious vegetable and chicken soup for the family, and especially for our daughter who's having a baby, so we want to keep her nice and full of good nutrition. I'm just doing some vegetables now to go into that into my soup, and this is just how I like to do it. So I always have a couple of grated parsnips, or a parsnip and a turnip or a swede, that go in with the vegetables, and I always have carrots, celery, onion, and a nice quarter piece of a pumpkin, a soft pumpkin or squash. It just helps thicken the soup. It gives it a little bit of sweetness. I've always done it, and I think it just does it adds something to the soup that I think is really important. And as I do believe the parsnip and or swede and turnip do, and if ever the girls make soup, they say, "My soup never tastes the same, Mum. Why? It doesn't taste like Ma's either." And I say, well, it's because you probably don't put the turnip and the parsnip in. They're really critical. So at this point, after treatment, I couldn't finish the grating, and I had to get my husband to come out and grate up some carrots and the parsnips for me. I physically didn't have the strength, even though I tried sitting down to do it, and I could have got out the food processor, but my thought was, if I didn't have the energy to grate something, I probably didn't have the energy to pull it all apart and wash it and dry it. So I persisted a few times here, and it just got to the point where I had to call in reinforcements, but that's okay. I did my best. I struggled. I can't believe how weak I was trying to grate these vegetables, and in the end I had to get my husband to come out and finish them for me. I did not have the strength. Crazy, isn't it? But anyway, we've got them all done, and that's the important part. So they're all going into the soup. Alrighty, so I got all the vegetables done, and I actually thought I videoed putting them into the soup, but I didn't. So here it is. And so here's what I've done so far with my soup. So I've put it in about a third of a pumpkin. I've put in 4 sticks of finely chopped celery, 3 carrots, 2 large onions, and 2 parsnips. Now this is at a 1.2 kilogram chicken. Now I'm making a lot of soup. I'm making a lot of soup for the family. And you'll just notice now that I'm putting in something. Now what that is about 1 cup of rolled oats. Excuse me, the reason being I don't have any soup mix or any lentils. I've used them all. And I always put oatmeal into savoury dishes. It's good fibre, and it helps thicken the soup, and it gives it a creamy texture. Now I've had my soup boiling for quite a while. As you can see, the vegetables are broken down. Okay, so in my soup I've actually put in, so I'm just going to go back over it. So I've got onions and pumpkin, celery, parsnip, what else have I got? Carrots, and I've got about a cup of, and obviously I've put this down into a smaller pot now out of that big 20-litre bertha that I have. So I've got also the oats in there, and I've also put in some orzo, which is a little grainy pasta, into the pot while I was cooking. And I did that along with adding my herbs. So I've added in some mixed herbs, some garlic, some thyme. What else did I put in there? I could have put some chives in there. I've put just some things that we like in our soup, and some chicken stock. And now I'm going to do a tumble down recipe where we're going to change this chicken soup into something more substantial. So you can see there I've just added in a teaspoon or 2 of mustard powder and a piece of cheddar cheese. I've also added in about a third of a cup of macaroni. into this soup, and a good splash of milk, which you would have seen me pop in earlier. And this is just a way of making your soup more substantial. Now in this bag I have what's called a beurre meunier. It's just a French word for butter and flour in the same ratio, mixed together, stored in the fridge or the freezer to use as a thickener without getting lumps. So you can pop it cold straight into a hot dish, mix it in, and it will thicken, it'll give it a glossy appearance, it'll get a beautiful buttery flavour. You just need to bring it to the boil to cook out that flour. And so this is what I'm doing to ramp up part of the chicken soup, and it just makes it a more substantial thing. You know, you could have had some homemade dumplings to drop into the soup, which would have been lovely. I didn't have the energy, so I've just used a little bit of macaroni. The orzo has pretty much broken down and helped thicken the soup. And I'm just going to have a little taste here for seasoning, and I know it's going to be so hot. But it really, yeah, that's actually really lovely. Just, you know, adjusting seasonings and things as you go now is all you need to do. And I'm putting in another teaspoon of mustard, and I could have put in another piece of cheddar cheese, but I didn't want to overload it for my, you know, baby carrying daughter. I have put garlic in my soup. I hope I did say that earlier. I'm pretty sure I've put some chives in as well. And what else would I put in? Some black pepper, obviously, and a bit of salt. Now, once I have that sort of, you can see it's nice and creamy, and it's a bit thicker than normal chicken soup, a chicken and veggie soup. So I'm dropping in that big piece of beurre meunier, which is just butter and flour, equal amounts, mashed together, and keep it in your fridge or your freezer. It's just the French name. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just if you're like me and you hate mixing up a slurry to thicken something, then making up some beurre meunier, putting it in a container or a plastic bag in your freezer, look, you'll thank me forever. You don't get lumps. It just dissolves, and the reason that happens is because when you're mashing the butter and the flour together and you've got the same ratio, the butter, the fats coat the grains of flour, and so they can't clump together when you pop them into something that's already hot. And for me that's a win-win, because I hate cleaning up the slurry, you know, little dish and spoon. I always end up having to wash it 2 or 3 times. So it works perfectly for me, and the smell coming off this soup after that butter went in, it's just next level. Now I've got all of my shredded chicken there ready to go in for mum and bub. And so once this is, you know, come up to a temperature and all sort of that flour taste has cooked out, we'll go ahead and we'll add that chicken in. Now a beurre meunier, guys, is something that is just so handy to have, whether you're making a chili con carne and it's a bit runny, maybe your spaghetti bolognese is a bit runny, maybe you're doing, you know, mince and tatties and you just don't want to thicken it, you know. All of those things that are just such simple, easy meals are so easily thickened up and finished off with a bit of beurre meunier. Now, you might use some gravy granules or flour or gravy stock, whatever, to make a dish, and it's just not runny enough, but it's not thick enough, but the flavour's strong enough. This is where a beurre meunier comes in really handy, because it doesn't add in any more strength of flavour per se. It just thickens, and it does it easily. So keep that in mind, and if you give it a try, let me know. Okay, I'd really be interested what you think. So I've put in quite a fair bit of chicken. That little number 12 chicken, I ended up getting 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 litres of soup full of chicken. And I've also added in some corn into this one as well. And this is why I think that, you know, this would be a great, if you've made a chicken soup for the freezer and then you think, oh, I feel like chicken and dumplings, make your little dumplings and drop in instead of the pasta and orzo and whatever that I've put in. make this your own. And I do have to say, guys, that this is a dish that you can elevate even more by adding some curry powder. Curry chicken soup is absolutely beautiful. So we've started with one simple chicken soup recipe, then we've tumbled it down into a more substantial type meal with a lot more nutrition. And you can take it a little bit further. You can add some dumplings and make it even more nutritious or hearty, stick to your ribs, whatever. And you can add in your own spices. You could add in some Cajun spice. You could add in, as I said, some curry powder. Absolutely delicious. There's so many different things that you can do, however you like your soup or your chicken stew or chicken and dumplings or whatever. But I just think the idea of a tumble down recipe from a base recipe is such a great idea. You can get two recipes from the one cook and they're different. And for me, that's really good because, there's two of us. We don't want to eat the same food over and over again, even though it freezes. We only have so much room in those freezers. So, I highly recommend that you give this a go. You could even pop in some Italian sausage pieces into this, would be amazing. So little Italian, cook the sausages and put them in. As I said, you could put some dumplings in, you could put some curry in, some Cajun spices in. You can go to town with this thing. Add some ginger, add some spring onions. Do whatever you want. I think some green spring onions in this right now would be really delicious. And so when I actually heat some of mine up tomorrow, I will do that. I'll pick some out of the garden and I'll actually have some of that on top of my soup. And it is just a lot thicker, creamier and substantial. And if you're making, you don't have to be making a chicken soup for this, but you could be doing other things. But, I can really see, say, some spicy sausages and some steamed broccoli going into this now and a little bit of curry powder. How great would that be? A can of your favourite beans you could pop in there. It's just a recipe that is one I love because it tumbles down into another recipe, another completely different meal. And I do have quite a few of these tumble down recipes which I will share. They're not, exciting or anything, but there might just be something you haven't thought of before. And another thing that I really like on my soup are fried shallots. The little Chinese fried shallots. I love them on soup. I don't care what sort of soup it is. I just love those things. I could, I love to just eat them out of the bag. But, you do you. You have to. It's your kitchen. You know what you like to eat. Maybe some cayenne pepper at this point. Some red chili flakes. Who knows what you might like to pop into yours to make yours a little bit differently. But I hope you give it a go. I know you all probably make chicken and veggie soup, but you might not have thought of the tumble down option of turning it into a casserole or you could even can that. You could pressure bath can that in jars. I'm going to serve up a little bit in a bowl for display. I'm not going to do a taste test today, and I'll tell you why. I have no skin on my face or neck, and it is horrific, and it's from treatment. I'm sorry to say that, but I'm not going to set off a trigger alert on anybody. So, few videos, you're not going to see... there'll be no shots of me tasting anything. I've just put a little bit of chives on there. Okay, and I'm going to put a little bit of fresh parsley on the top of mine. And I'm going to enjoy this. So thanks guys for sticking around and watching this vlog today. It's been a bit of a gap between vlogs and I've missed you all. And hopefully I'm back now and I'm able to do a bit... make a few. As I said, there'll be no face pictures because I don't want to trigger anybody. That's a bit, a bit upsetting for us both. but it was absolutely delicious. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the notifications bell, like this video, share it around, do whatever you can. I'd really, really appreciate it. But take care, look after yourself, give the soup a try. I hope the world's treating you all kindly, and bye for now from Olive's Tree.